Once again, YouTube, I'm back. It's Philip Alabanos, and today we're going to learn how we can get images like this and have a really good time doing it. It's like a bonding experience with friends. It's Friday night. I'm waiting on my buddy George, who's a photographer, to come and join me at Xenospace. I'm still here at the office, as you can see. And we're going to light steel wool on fire and spin it around and hopefully not get burned, I guess. George called me a few weeks ago. He's like, hey, do you want to do steel wool photography? I said, hey, I like fire. I like photography. I think I can do this. I think I can handle this. George wrote a blog post about it, and I'll link that in the description below. But let's just talk about the things you need to get this done. First and foremost, you need it to be night. This is a night photography exercise. This is something you do using long exposure. You long expose in the day, everything's white. The second thing that you'll need is a whisk. You know, like the kind of thing you make cake with, or what else do you whisk? It doesn't need to be a fancy whisk. Honestly, go to like a dollar store or something, get the cheapest whisk you can get your hands on, because it's gonna get destroyed. But you don't want it to have like a plastic handle, right? You want the entire thing to be made of either aluminum or steel or whatever kind of metal doesn't catch fire. The third thing you'll need is steel wool. So steel wool seems pretty straightforward until George got to the hardware store and called me and was like, I don't know, there's like 19 different kinds of steel wool. So I did a little bit of research, and having done it now, this is the best steel wool to get. Grade 000. It's the finest grade of steel wool. It kind of pulls apart like really raggedy cotton candy. That's probably the best way to put it. It looks like silver, really not delicious looking, not appetizing cotton candy. The fourth thing you will be needing for steel wool photography is fire. Matches are fine. Lighter's probably your best bet. I would suggest, after having done this at night, and it was windy, and you'll hear that in some of the footage, get like a cigar torch, you know, the ones that kind of go. The lighter that we use, the traditional lighters, they kept blowing out, and you gotta get it inside at the steel wool, right? The fifth thing you will be needing for steel wool photography: a fire extinguisher. Trust me, guys, I cannot stress this enough. A fire extinguisher. Not a bucket of water. Contrary to George's initial beliefs, a bucket of water will not save you. But honestly, guys, a fire extinguisher is a must-have. If you can have two of them, if it's a long shoot, bring two. I know they're kind of expensive. George brought it in this case, and we needed it. We needed it. The sixth thing you'll need is something to swing with. Now, chain, very fine chain, probably a good idea. I wouldn't go with yarn or string because it might catch fire, and next thing you know, this thing's just flying off into oblivion. What George actually brought for us to use was, you know, the inside thing that whips around in a weed whacker, that like weird, I don't know what it's called. It's got like it kind of looks like wire, copper wire wrapped in like a casing. The big thing that me and George spoke about for the next time is gloves, because our fingers got destroyed. The final thing you will need to do this is a camera. Any camera will do, as long as it does long exposures, and you can control how long the shutter curtain stays open. And you know what? There's one more thing you might need, and that's a friend. Bring a friend with you, because you know what? Everything's more fun with a friend. So how does this thing work? Basically, you set up your tripod, blast up your ISO just so you can lock focus. You set up your frame. What's an ideal location? You want it somewhere where it's gonna bounce. Okay, you want to bounce it off of cement is ideal. We were looking for a good parking lot with a substructure. We used a lane, which you can see here. But my favorite location that we went on, and we probably shouldn't have done, but we did anyways, and to my wife, I'm sorry, I know you didn't want me there, and a train did pass, was train tracks. There's just something about the leading lines on on train tracks. It's just, oof, I don't know. It's just, there's something about it. It like leads you, it's pointing, it's saying, look here. Trains sometimes pass here, but right now, there is a phoenix. So the only bad part about train tracks is train tracks don't catch fire. Gravel doesn't catch fire. Wood in this instance, like it's heavy old soaked wood, like it's not gonna catch fire, you know, it's right under the train tracks. These are little sparks. But when that thing starts to go, it's just vomiting fire everywhere. It doesn't really hurt. I got a few shots in the face and a few pieces hit my clothing. Like I stank like burnt metal after, but it didn't hurt, it didn't leave any damage. What did happen was, and I think I know the moment it happened, as I was spinning it, I gave it some slack, and the whisk hit the ground, and a big old chunk of steel, flaming steel wool went flying off into somewhere else. And then a few minutes later, we're setting up another shot, and some people are like, hey, it's pretty cool with some some smoke in that corner where there's some shrubbery. And I didn't hear them. I just saw George, because I was looking down at the A6300. I was taking some B-roll, and you'll see that. And George just takes off, and I don't know what's going on. And there's fire, and it was bad. And we use the fire extinguisher, so try to avoid any kind of dry brush. Obviously, that's a no-no. So yeah, location. Honestly, your heart's content. Figure out where you can go that this will look cool, that you'll get bounce back, and you won't start a fire. So we were exposing at 5-second intervals. So the camera shutter was open for 5 seconds at a time. We found that this gave us the best kind of exposure because it is dark, but the thing itself, it lights this. It creates its own kind of light. It's very interesting. It's kind of like fire. It's like lighting subject with like hundreds of thousands of candles just around them. So it's interesting. Now, you're probably not gonna get very much of the subject turning. So, for example, I'm in most of the photos, I look like a ghost, or I'm not even there because I'm moving around, trying not to get burned. So, you're really trying to catch that ring, or the sparks, or the light, or the textures, or that's what you're looking for here. So 5 seconds worked for us. We were shooting at about f6. We were trying to get really wide shots. The wider the better. You don't want a close-up of this kind of stuff. This is something where you want to see the background, you want to see the edges, you want to get that kind of distorted effect that you get from a very wide angle, and it just makes it cooler. Shapes. What are you going to be doing? Are you going to be spinning it in a circle in front of you to create a ring? Are you going to be spinning it over your head to create like an umbrella? Second you start swinging towards the camera, I could see George just running in fear of his life for all the sparks that were going down. So these are all things to keep in mind when you're working on this. And honestly, look, guys, get the camera settings. That's it, 5 seconds. That's all you really need to know. You need the kit, you need the wool, you need the camera, you need a friend, you need the whisk. That's it. Everything else is up to you. Go out there, be creative. I'd love to see what you guys come up with, because honestly, this thing, this is my first try doing it. We're blowing this thing up. It's going up in my living room. It's Phoenix Fire. I love it. My wife loves it. It's going to be up there forever until I do something cooler, and then we spend more money and print that. But besides the point. So yeah, that's it. Steel Wool Photography. It's so much fun. I think next I want to try light painting, because as a cinematographer, yes, I learned photography first, and I needed to learn it and understand it before I could shoot video. But I don't really shoot photos that often anymore. I just kind of, I'll shoot photos for clients. I'll shoot photos of my family. I'll shoot some landscapes because I enjoy shooting landscapes. But these kind of little side projects that we did for fun, it's been a long time since I've done anything like it, and I don't regret it. I'm going to be definitely doing more of it. Link in the description to George's blog so you can see kind of his version of this. That's it, really. Next thing I want to talk about in the next review, I have the Moza Air, the Gudsen. I have no idea. The Moza Air. It's a 3-axis brushless gimbal. Main competition to the Jiyun crane. It's coming in for a project, so I ordered that. Amazon, bring it to me. Yeah, it should be here tomorrow, so I'll have that video up next week. It's kind of a crazy week. My name is Phil. I just filmed this. I hope you like it. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't like and subscribe last time, do it this time. Hit the like button, because I need to hit the like button. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel so good. And I'll see you in the next video. Later.